afternoon, everyone. Patrick is my name. And let me first of all thank everyone who has subscribed to my YouTube channel, that is Computer Elites Uganda. Thank you very much for sharing with friends. Thank you very much for the feedback that you always put on to the channel. Now, in today's lesson, we are going to look at the introduction to electronic spreadsheet. We have been using this electronic spreadsheet, or spreadsheet has been used for long. So we are going to look at some of the basics in introduction to electronic spreadsheet. Now, from the beginning, we are going to first of all look at the background of electronic spreadsheet. Now, when you look at spreadsheet, throughout the ages, people have always needed to calculate, and tools such as abacus were invented by the early Chinese to help keep track of large numbers. So you can see how spreadsheet started. It started way back where the use of the abacus was used to deal with the large numbers. Also, 30 years ago, students only had pens, papers, slide rules, and mathematical tables to help them in mathematical exams. So you can see how this spreadsheet started, using papers, using pens to deal with the mathematical questions, exams. So you can see how this spreadsheet started. Now, when you look at this spreadsheet, by then calculators and personal computers were not in place, and the introduction of these calculators eventually became everyday tool for some of these computation to deal with calculations in order to improve accuracy. So you can see now introduction of these calculators. When they came, they were now used to deal with problems or complex problems, to deal with large amounts of repetitive work, and that is all the background of this spreadsheet. Now let us look at what is exactly we are going to look at. Now, in our outline, we have the following. We have the introduction to spreadsheet. We have managing the worksheets, then formulas and functions. So those are some of the areas that we are going to look at in our spreadsheet. Now let us look at the objectives into our spreadsheet that we are going to look at. Still, one, we are going to manage or understand how to define a spreadsheet. Two, we are going to look at the types of spreadsheet. Then three, we are going to look at the application areas and the uses of spreadsheet. Four, we are going to look at the features of a spreadsheet. And five, we are going to look at the working with a spreadsheet. So those are some of our topics within this electronic spreadsheet that we are going to look at. Now let us first of all understand the meaning of spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is a grid that organizes data in rows and columns. So whenever you're dealing with spreadsheet, there is that grid of rows and columns where information is always manipulated. Or we can also say a spreadsheet software refers to an application software package that is used for calculations, including creation of graphics. That is about what is a spreadsheet. Now, when you look at some of the examples of spreadsheet, among them we have Microsoft Excel. We also have Lotus 1, 2, 3. We have K-Spread. We have Apple Numbers. We have OpenOffice.org, Calic. We also have Kingsoft Spreadsheets. And we also have Ability Spreadsheet. There are other examples of spreadsheet software applications, but those are some of the examples that I have listed down. Then let us look at the types of spreadsheet. When you look at these types of spreadsheet, there are only two types of spreadsheet, that is the manual spreadsheet and the electronic spreadsheet. That is the manual spreadsheet, that is when computers are not using it. It is just a matter of using or drawing on a paper or coming up with information on a piece of paper. You write everything like the way how you're seeing how this information is presented on a piece of paper. So manual is not by use of computers. Electronic spreadsheet, that is when we use computers to deal with the information in a spreadsheet. So there are two types of spreadsheet. Then let us look at some of the examples, so that some of the advantages of electronic spreadsheet over the manual spreadsheet. One, the electronic spreadsheet utilizes the powerful aspects of the computer, like we have speed, there is accuracy and efficiency to manage the user quickly accomplish tasks or problems. So spreadsheet gives accurate results compared to manual spreadsheets. Two, we can also say electronic spreadsheets offers larger visual sheet for data entry and manipulation. For example, the largest paper ledger you can get is on that does not exceed 30 columns and 51 rows. So you can see that spreadsheet, you can have it to accomplish a task within a given period of time, or you can have information displayed on a large sheet compared to manual sheet. Then we can also say electronic spreadsheet utilizes large storage space on a computer, storage devices to save and retrieve documents. So you can have a number of electronic spreadsheet files compared to when you're using the manual. Meaning, when you're using the manual spreadsheet, you will have a lot of papers and you will end up having some information on some of those papers get lost. We can also say electronic spreadsheet enables the user to produce neat work, because the traditional papers, pencils and rubbers plus calculators cannot put aside. So you will have every time to rub, you will have every time to cross. So you will have information if you're using the traditional means, that is, you're using the manual spreadsheet, you will have information not displayed well compared to when you're using the electronic spreadsheet, where information is always produced and it is neat. We can also add and say electronic spreadsheet has inbuilt functions or formulas that enables the user to quickly manipulate mathematical data. So since a spreadsheet deals with the calculations, it has those functions or formulas you can use to compute a given output So the results are always obtained according to the operator that you have used it in a spreadsheet than when you're using the manual spreadsheet where everything has to be typed. We can also say electronic spreadsheet automatically adjusts the result of the formula if the value in the worksheet is changed, while for manual worksheets or manual spreadsheet, changing one value means rubbing the result and writing the correct answer again. So you can see that when you're using electronic spreadsheet, any changes you make automatically adjust the results compared to when you're using the manual spreadsheet. Then let us look at the application areas of spreadsheet. Among those areas where spreadsheet can be used, you can use it in budgeting. That is, if you're dealing with cash flow statements, you're looking for the profits and the loss statements. So electronic spreadsheet can be used in that application. We can also use it in tabulation. That is, Excel is designed to contain data in a tabular format that supports both inline and summation calculations. So you can look at it being used in that area of tabulation. We can also use it in the area of financial analysis. That is, when you're analyzing different lists of customers, you're dealing with sales. So Excel can be used in financial analysis to deal with the sales and the marketing plans based on the past results. We can also use it in the timesheets, that is based on adding and subtracting integers. Spreadsheets can also be performed on those calculations on time-based numbers. So you can see that you can deal with the different areas. Say you're dealing with the integers, you're dealing with the adding. So spreadsheet is used in that area. We can also use it in the chart creation. Spreadsheet programs can convert your data into visuals of your choice. Whether it is a pie chart, you're creating a bar chart, you're creating a line chart, among others. So you can see that in the area of creating charts, we can use a spreadsheet. Then let us look at the features of spreadsheets. Among them is saving. This is always used whenever you're dealing with any kind of a document. And when you save an Excel document, it is saved as a .xls compared to other files which are given different file extensions. With a spreadsheet, it is given a .xls. So saving is one of the features of a spreadsheet. Then number two, we can also talk of columns and rows. Of course, when you look at the spreadsheet, it contains a grid which consists of columns and rows. And always rows are labeled with numbers and columns are labeled with letters, giving each cell a unique address consisting of a number and a letter. So we have that feature, all those two features, columns and rows, in a spreadsheet. Then another one, we have the autocomplete feature. This one is used to display a certain phrase that is already typed or that is already in a spreadsheet. If you already typed a certain phrase and you want to type it again, Excel will automatically give you that very word. So it contains an autocomplete feature which gives you a way of completing a certain word without retyping every time. Another one, we also have formulas, and when we talk about formula, these are used to express mathematical relationships between cells. For example, if you look at this example, that once you type equals A1 plus B1 in cell C1, it means that you're going to add the numbers that you have in cell A1 and the number in cell B1, then the results will be displayed in cell C1. So we have that feature called formula. Another feature we also have is what we call function. And when we talk of functions, these are shortcuts used when performing mathematical calculations. And they are always pre-programmed. That gives a power and flexibility to a spreadsheet calculations. So there are those ones which are always defined. Among them, we have examples of them. We can deal with the sum, we can deal with the average, we can deal with the max and the mean, among others. So we have those functions as a feature in a spreadsheet program. Another one, we also have the cell references, or what we call cell addresses. And you can refer to a cell by using a column letter and the row number. For example, if you have a number, you can define it by the cell address or the cell reference, that is D8, which refers to the cell in column D and the row 8. And in this case, D8 is known as the cell reference and is always used as the default name for the cell. So we always talk of column letters and row numbers when we are defining the cell address. And when you look at some of those cell references, we can generalize them as circular cell references, which occurs once a formula is entered into a given cell. For example, you can see A2 plus A3 in cell A2 will create a circular reference. So those ones, according to references, when we are dealing with the calculations, we will talk about them and understand how do we define a reference basing on the function that we are using in our spreadsheet program. Now let us look at working with spreadsheets. When you open a spreadsheet application, that is, I've given an example of Microsoft Excel 2013, you would see something common, and some of those elements are labeled into this diagram. If you look at the image that I have tried to indicate some of those parts, you can identify onto a spreadsheet. We have the ribbon tabs, we have the formula bar, which is around here, we have this one here when you're dealing with a function, we have somewhere here which is our name box, we have the active cell, that is the cell where you're going to enter a given piece of data. We have the rows, which we identified already, which are always labeled with the numbers. We have the sheet tabs down here. If you have any sheet you want to add, you just click on this to add any other sheet. So this is how a worksheet looks like when you open it. We have the slide, the zoom slider, if you want to increase on the zooming of your worksheet, among other features. So this is how a spreadsheet program looks like when you start it. Then when you look at some of those parts we have identified in our worksheet, one, we have the active cell. The active cell is recognized by its outline. So when you look at spreadsheet and Microsoft Word, in spreadsheet, information is always entered in what we call cells. That box where a certain piece of data is typed is what we call the active cell. And when you look at Microsoft Word, you always have to click where you're going to type a certain digit or a certain number or a certain letter into your Word document. But with the Excel, we always call it the active cell. Then another part, we have the sheet tab or the sheet icons. That is, information is always entered into sheets. So you can have sheet 1, you can have sheet 2, you can have sheet 3, among other sheets. Depends on the information you're entering onto those sheets. So you have that feature called sheet icon. Then another one, we have a cell itself, and when you talk of a cell, that is an intersection between a column and a row. The intersection point of the vertical column and the horizontal row is what we call a cell. That box within your worksheet is what we call a cell. Then we have a column which is always labeled with letters, and columns run vertically on a worksheet, and each one is identified by a letter in the column header. So columns are always labeled vertically and they are identified with the letters, and the rows are always identified with the numbers. And when we are giving a cell reference or a cell address, we always start by the column letter followed by the row number. Another one is the formula bar as one of the parts that we identify on our spreadsheet. And a formula bar is located above the worksheet, and this area displays the content of the active cell. So whenever you're entering data in an active cell, the information you type in the active cell is always displayed in the formula bar. Also, when you perform any calculation, the formula used to obtain an output is displayed in the formula bar. So that is our feature onto our spreadsheet. Another one is the name box. The name box is located next to the formula bar, which displays the cell reference or the name of the active cell. So whenever you click in any cell in your worksheet, the name of that cell is displayed in the name box. That is according to that part onto our spreadsheet. Another one is the file tab. This is the one that contains the items that are mostly related to files and documents. That is, if you're dealing with managing a file in your spreadsheet, we always use this sheet tab. When you look at the other version, say Office 2007, you will find it with the an office button, which is in a circle shape at the top left corner. That is, so with the version, depends the version starting from 2010, you will find it with this part. Then we also have the row numbers. Those ones we have already identified them, and they are always used to identify the rows, and they always run horizontally in a worksheet, and they are always identified by the number in the row header. Then we have the zoom slider. This one is located in the bottom right corner of the Excel screen, and this one is used to change or magnify the worksheet based on how you want it to be zoomed. So the zoom slider, you can either move it or slide it to the right or slide it to the left, depending on the magnification of your worksheet according to how you want it to display. Then another one is the sheet tabs. These ones we have already identified, these sheet tabs, and it is in these sheet tabs where you can enter your data. And when you look at versions like 2013, you will only have, by default, you will only have one sheet. Others, you just go on adding them. Then when you look at 2007, 2010, the sheet tabs by default, they are always displayed as 3 sheets. Then with 2013, you will find it with only 1 sheet tab. Others, you just go on adding them. So the sheet tab is always used to add or enter information. Then the status bar runs horizontally along the bottom of the screen, and it can be customized to display a number of options, most of which give the user information about the current worksheet, the data in the worksheet, and other features basing on how you want it to display. So the status bar always display information about what you are dealing with, especially if you're dealing with the entering in information. There's when it changes to the enter mode. When you press the caps lock, it displays that you have turned on caps lock, among others. That is what the status bar will display. Then let us look at managing the worksheets, and this is where our lesson for today is going to end. So among all these ones we'll talk about them next time when we meet, and we shall look at inserting rows and columns. Since we have already now identified, we have already looked at how a worksheet looks like. So in our next lesson, we'll look at how to insert rows and columns. We'll look at how you can edit contents of a cell. We'll look at how you can select cells. We'll look at how to copy contents of a cell range or a worksheet. That is, if you're copying information from different worksheets to other worksheets, or you're copying information from different workbooks. We'll look at how you can autofill, or how you can use the copy handle tools. We'll look at how to freeze spans, and also how to format a worksheet. So this one will be in our next lesson when we meet again. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is Computer Elites Uganda, and please don't forget to share with your friends. You can download this video and share with your friends. You can also watch as many times you want, such that you can understand how a spreadsheet works and what it means. There are other videos you can also get from the channel. There are many there. You can get videos about database, you can get videos about word processing, among others. So please, you can visit the YouTube channel, Computer Elites Uganda, subscribe, share with your friends, and please don't forget to comment where you might have not understood. Thank you very much. Let us meet in our next video. See you again.